Well, today we are on site working on a project. This is the first one of our the new era in Soda Solar where we aren't working at home. And if you didn't catch why, check out the previous video, or I'll link it down in the comments below. So you can learn about that. But we are still in Minnesota, down another end of Minneapolis, working on a Entegra here. Entegra. It looked a little weird looking in the screen. Anyway, we're doing 1200 watts of solar, 800 amp hours of SOK batteries, Victron Multi-Plus, all the treatments, and again, trying to get RVC working on this one. There's a little different system on this one, so hopefully we can get it working. That's been a lot of fun, at least fun for me. JD is on his way down to Arizona, so if you're interested in getting work done there, definitely fill out a form on our website. And I might be also heading down somewhere warm this winter as well to do some work. So without further ado, let's talk about what we're doing. So like we talked about, we've got the Entegra Accolade 35L that we're making them so they can boondock in comfort without having to run that generator. Let's start inside with what I found out so far. I have to say, I get it why people really like these Super Cs. You get the bunk up there, plenty of room, but it's still a normal truck in front. So people will work on it. So under the bed here, we're going to be spending a bunch of time here. Plan is we're going to put our batteries here, and I think the way we orientate them, there's probably going to be room for at least one or two more if the customer so desires in the future, which will be great, especially for their plans on this. So I pulled off this cover, got our transfer switch right there. We're gonna end up going through the floor with the batteries, and we'll go through the floor probably for the main AC connection as well. So that's gonna make that pretty easy. It's just up and over here. And then for another tricky thing is going to be running the HDMI and USB for the screen. I think our plan is to come through this channel here, into this channel here, underneath the toilet here, through here, underneath the sink, and I'm hoping, if all works, up this wall, we'll put it right there for the screen. The other thing I want to mention is down here, this is the RVC brains of everything. And initially I was thinking it was going to be a little tricky, but it's actually going to be not too bad to connect into the system. The first thing I got to do is I got to figure out which of these are the RVC connections down here that my fingers are touching. One of these goes to the solar charger, and I'll show you where that's at in a minute. What we're going to do is basically just pigtail off of one of those once we figure out which it is, and run that down into the bay below where we're going to install everything else. And that's how we're going to tap into that system. And then the solar wires ended up being way easier than I thought it was going to be as well. So I think that's what we should look at next. Now this is a classic example of why you want to do all your planning beforehand, or as much as you can. And don't get discouraged, because sometimes it's going to get better. It's a little bright. As you continue to look and you discover, oftentimes things are going to get a little bit easier. This was going to be, originally I was thinking I was going to spend a lot of time on my back. I still am, but it's not going to be quite as bad. Let's take a look here. Okay, we are back around driver's side of the compartment, and here's the solar charger, the Go Power, and we got our red and white here coming from the roof. That's making it here, and we are a long way from the back where we were before. So I was thinking I was going to have to splice these wires here and run a new set over there. But obviously you can probably tell by the way I'm talking, I'm not going to have to. And same thing with this here. Here's the RVC connection. Well, that obviously goes right up to that spot where we were just at. Let's take a look here. This electrical bay here is what we're going to be installing all the main Victron components. This is going to be the blue bay. However, a little challenge, we have to work around that panel there. That needs to stay accessible because that's where they get access to the breakers on the generator. So I'm thinking probably use that wall and that wall mainly and put together a board and just slide it right in there. So, and the new way we're working, what I'm going to do is basically take my measurements here, go back to our shop up in the north end of Minneapolis and work on it there, then bring it back here. So a little bit of a hybrid approach. Now let's go underneath here. All right, so take a look at that there, right underneath here. Red and white. Oh, that's our solar right there. So looking forward to just using those. And then I don't have to fish that all the way. We're upside down now, but all the way up there. Hot dog. Now let's go up on the roof. I'll show you what we got going on there. Now, lest you think I start these videos as soon as I start the project, it's actually about 11, actually almost noon. So I've been working on this, obviously. Let's take a look at what we got up on the roof here. Here we go. We're gonna do 6 panels. And my plan is to do 2P, 3S, or no, other way around. 3P, 2S. So parallel, parallel, parallel. I think there's maybe a way to get a little bit more on here. I'm gonna talk to the customer about it. We would basically be doing a 3S, 3P, but we don't have room for 200 watt panels. We'd have to do it with 100 watt panels. And I think it could work. So I'm gonna talk to him about them. Right now we're spec'd for 1200 watts. If the title and thumbnail on this video says more than that, I guess we did it. But stick around and figure out how we did it. This right here is the panel that we pulled out, or replacing the one that we pulled off. It was a 200 watt, 12 volt style Go Power panel. And I tried to make it work with all those, and I just couldn't figure out a good way to do it, so we ended up working out a deal. We're just going to do 6 fresh, rich solar panels, and that's going to work pretty good. All right, I had a quick discussion with the owner, and they are game. Let's do it. We're going to go from 1200 watts to 1500 watts. And so again, the way we can do this is using that mixture of 24 volt panels and 12 volt panels. I'll just review one more time. So in series, when we put panels in series, we're looking to try and match the amps. So what does this say here? 5.3 amps. That's what you're looking to match. Here we go. Now let's look at this little new slim panel Rich Solar's doing. We've been liking these. 5.13 amps. Now, is that exact? No. But this is basically, as you can see, half of one of those panels. So we can put, basically those two together is like a 400 watt panel. Adding that, it's like a 500 watt. We're gonna put the other panel on this array here. Reason why I did that is exactly for a situation like this, where let's say in the morning, the sun is coming here. If I put this right up against there, well, now we're getting partial shade from the air conditioner right there. So I'm trying to buy us a little bit more partial shade performance around that air conditioner. And then the ones back here, well, in this current location, it's kind of going to be a mess, but it is what it is. Here, we'll just add the other panel right back here. But I only brought 2 with me today. I don't know why I didn't bring 3. I should have. So we'll wire up those 2 arrays, and we'll have this one ready to go. And then we'll be good. So we'll have this, I don't know, 80-90% done by today. Well, some of you may have been thinking, and I just took me a little bit to catch up to you, and I got to thinking, There's a lot of extra space here. Why are we only putting a little panel there? And you know what I talked about before, if I'm to do this, you know, if I take a 200 watt, and a 200 watt 12 volt panel, these are 24s, and I put them in series, this one effectively gets turned into a 100 watt. Well, that's what I was gonna put here anyway. But the advantage, see, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Maybe I should go into politics. The advantage here is if this part has shade, well, the other part's still gonna provide the 5 amps. We're only looking for 5 amps out of this. So we end up getting a little bit more partial shade performance out of this configuration this way. And the other fringe benefit is I can complete the solar entirely today because I'm gonna put that other 100 watt right there. I'm liking this, And saves the customer a little bit of money, which I'm all about. All right, I'm inside here, about ready to button things up because I got some work done. And got the HDMI and USB run. Went through here, around there, that wasn't too bad. This was a little tricky. I ended up not being able to get that panel off down there, or I probably could have with enough effort, but it was just really tricky. So I gotta put the trim pieces back. Should end up looking pretty good when we're done. What I ended up doing was pulling this panel off. It was just stapled in, so it came off pretty easy. And we'll nail it back in there. But we ran see if we can get it here. Yeah, I think you should be able to see an HDMI and USB in there somewhere. But that's the pathway we ran. That wasn't too bad. There it is coming out of here. I ended up putting the fish tape down there and turning this corner and getting in there and then pulling it manually through there. Normally, I plan on being able to get fish tape quite through that many corners, but it ended up working out. And then we cut a hole here, and that's the screen. Then I got it taped together there, and I'm gonna cable clamp that up, and then we're good to go. And here's how the screen ended up looking. I think that turned out pretty well. So now just going to put it all back together. Not sure if you're interested in time traveling, but you just did it. We skipped over day 2 and we're wrapping up on day 3 here. So let's take a look at what we've done so far, and I'll update you on all the different connections and all that kind of stuff that people like to see. And of course there's some eye candy in there too. Let's start with over here in the bay where we're installing everything. We've got a lot of cleanup yet to do, but the system is on and charging at the moment. Actually, it's nearly complete charging. So here's what we got going on here. I got some cables to secure down yet, some vacuuming to do, but this is in short what we're looking at. Do have our little there it goes, our motion sensor in there, so it does light up. Looks real good. Of course, there's already that little light there, but we added our own. Did the links, of course, shut off, shunt, solar disconnect, servo. You can see a little yellow wire there. That is the VE bus connection for CAN bus or RVC, which is going to be really fun. You're definitely going to want to stick around and watch that. Solar charger, and of course the multi-plus here. Tried a lot of different ways to figure out how we could mount this. I couldn't think of a better way. So before I go, I think I'm going to make a little thing that goes over this maybe. I don't know, because I think seeing those lights is still maybe important, but you can also do that inside, so we'll see. But overall, we're good. We just went right up through there. I drilled another hole, and we'll go take a look at that here in a minute. But before we do that, let's, I gotta go up on the roof and check out the solar. So come on with me. All right, here we are up on the roof. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 way in the back. 9 solar panels for a grand total of 1,600 watts. But in all practicality, we've got about 1,500 actually usable. Because remember, our 200 watt panel there is acting as a 100 watt. But we got better partial shade performance, and as you can see, that's going to be important. We ended up not getting a ton of solar today, just with the angle of the sun here in the fall. We didn't get much. A lot of trees here. I think the most I saw out of the system today was 200 watts, which, again, like maybe some of you heard me say before, more solar the better. So one of the goals of this system is to run the air conditioner in the summer for their pet dog. And when that's on the line, let's definitely do more, not less. But like I said, I really like these smaller panels from Rich. They're basically a Zamp knockoff, I would say, but nothing Rich does in the solar space, I would say, is a knockoff. That's a top-notch panel. It's basically just half of one of those again. You can really see it there. I love them. So, all right, let's keep going. All right, let's go take a look inside, see what we got going on there. All right, here is, well, you know what? Oh, that's a tease. We'll get to that here in a second, but here's where the fun happened. Spent a lot of time in here. Got to vacuum and clean all this up yet, but figured I'd show you what happened. Got our 4 SOK batteries in here. That's for a lot of amp hours. Got our transfer switch connected, and this was kind of nice with the panel being so close. We ended up not using any of the splices that we typically use, so everything is even better connected. And then we turned off the converter via the breaker. I'm starting to do that more and more, and just let so long as it doesn't interfere with anything else. That way, if something were to ever happen with the system we install, they can turn that breaker on, or, with the batteries. Because if that is completely disabled, well then, if something happens with the battery system, then we have no 12 volt power in here. And that's not good. It's nice to be able to plug into shore and just get 12 volt power. That would be if something goes on wrong with the inverter and the batteries, because the inverter will provide that power as well. Back here, it's getting a little dark, but that is where we came up through there. And there's also, I don't know if it's light enough, let's see, there's some daylight down here where we were able to pass some cables through. And of course, here is that RVC connection we made. There, if you type in Victron RVC, you'll get a website on Victron's website that'll give you the pinouts to go from Ethernet to RVC, and that works out pretty well. So, how does that RVC actually translate? Well, check this out. This is the first time we've actually seen this. We have all the freshwater, or all the tanks. We got fresh waters, gray waters, black waters, a lot of black, and LP tank even, all showing up. Let's look in here. Yeah, all of these showed up. I thought, wow, that is so cool. Now to do this, I had to reboot it at one point to refresh you on those settings. If anybody's curious, once you make that connection, you got to tell the VE CAN port to be an RVC profile, and then these are the devices that are being shared. So these 3 devices are being shared to this system. So like we see the smart solar there, right? Check this out. It knows about it. The Firefly system knows about this solar, and then the Firefly is sharing all the tank information to the Victron system. So that'll show up all in the VRM, all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. I don't know if the battery information is being shared or to what extent. I have seen on the Firefly systems or some systems if there's an inverter control. Currently I don't see that on here. But if there was an inverter control, that it would also show up on here. We've seen that before. But that's about all I have to tell you there. Oh, one last thing here. I guess to make the coach DC connection, we use this positive connection here, because then from this controller, it controls all the lights and everything else. That basically connects to the battery, so we're just daisy chaining on there rather than the battery all the way at the front. Then for the negative, we did a chassis ground point down by the generator, and I'll even show you that here in a moment. But this is about ready to be buttoned up and cleaned up here, so I think we got to get on it. It's getting late in the day. All right, so here's how underneath here ended up working out. Not so bad. So we ran into a little bit of a snag. Turns out there's a breaker panel right here, and that controls other interesting fun things that people might want to use on their inverter power, like microwave and induction cooktop. So that used to be connected here in the transfer switch. It's this yellow or orange 30 amp here, and it was unprotected from there, which isn't necessarily a problem. It just comes right out of here into this breaker panel. So what I did is I went out of here and into the main breaker panel and just connected it there to the main line one, and then the neutral and ground as usual. And now everything's working. So one little hiccup. This is where we test everything and make sure it all works. All right, here's the bay. It's day has turned to night. It's gotten a little dark out, so here's how this ended up finishing up. Customer and I put together this, well, he did most of the work on that little cover over the multi-plus there. And so this cable doesn't damage it or anything, but here's how everything turned out. I think it looked pretty nice. So yeah, we're gonna get this back put away in there and then head home here, I think. Day turns to night real quick here in the fall, so we are all about wrapped up on this Entegra Accolade. It's a nice little overlander, and we had a lot of fun getting all the solar and battery put on there. And so if you need any help with your RV or ice house or bus or whatever you got, give us a call. Check us out online, sotasolar.com, SOTASOLAR.com. Thanks.